Sung-hun's father couldn't believe a student was responsible. He questioned if it was impossible to arrest the student, outraged that his son had to suffer for life. Sung-hun's father demanded to meet with the school's administration. He was determined to make Taeson's family pay. In the intensive care unit, a police officer was investigating Taeson's identity. He asked why Taeson had acted that way, with Taeson not understanding. He asked again why Taeson had attacked those students. Taeson told him that he was overstepping, as clearly he was the victim and those thugs were the guilty ones. He was obviously attacked and had even become a patient. The police couldn't believe Taeson dared to deny it, saying that he had beaten them all up. The police warned that if he didn't confess, the investigation would uncover the truth anyway. The police were unaware that Taeson was recording the conversation. They kept asking why Taeson had attacked them, accusing him of disliking the senior students. They also accused him of bullying and extorting money, saying he couldn't claim they extorted him or that he borrowed money from friends. Taeson asked the police if they had taken a bribe, but the officer didn't dare admit it. Taeson questioned why he was only being interrogated. Moreover, as a minor, he pointed out that without a legal representative or guardian present, the inspector had no right to interrogate him as if he were a criminal. The police, infuriated, asked what about it. The officer grabbed Taeson by the collar, scolding him for being a snotty-nosed kid who didn't know his place. The officer shook him harder, saying he had encountered many spoiled kids like Taeson before. Taeson cried out, asking him to stop, and began to cry in fear, asking why he was being treated like that and requesting a different inspector. Taeson called for a nearby doctor for help. The doctors rushed over, asking what happened, and Taeson accused the police officer of trying to kill him. He complained that the officer treated him like a criminal. The doctor reprimanded the officer, asking if he was insane to treat a student and patient like that. He reminded the officer to be gentle during questioning and questioned if he would take responsibility if the patient suffered any consequences. The police officer didn't know how to respond. A nurse nearby alerted the doctor that Taeson seemed to have fainted. The doctor immediately called for help, preparing to lower blood pressure and move the patient. He instructed to get X-rays and an MRI to check for any head injuries in this emergency case. The doctor accused the police officer of assaulting the patient. At Taeson's school, the management announced that a bullying incident had occurred. Recently, the school's bullying situation had reached alarming levels. The principal demanded swift solutions, while the vice principal immediately suggested expelling Taeson for embarrassing over 30 students that day. Taeson's homeroom teacher disagreed, stating it was a case of 30 against 1. If punishment was to be given, the other students involved should also be punished. The board thought Taeson's teacher was defending him. The teacher insisted it wouldn't be fair to punish only Taeson. The principal suggested that all students involved in the incident should be expelled. The homeroom teacher argued for a more balanced solution than just expelling Taeson. The principal expressed concern about media coverage, fearing a significant stain on the school's reputation. However, he believed that strictly punishing the offending student alone would improve the school's image. In the hospital, Taeson was diagnosed with a concussion and prescribed 8 weeks of rest. This meant he could skip school and freely invest in stocks. He was staying in a quiet special care room. He felt that having a lot of money was simply for enjoyment. Taeson pretended to be slightly unwell to deceive everyone. Despite this, he managed to study all the subjects he needed through solution books and online lessons. He was simultaneously studying and playing the stock market, never resting his mind. Taeson was enjoying himself. His money kept increasing, reaching 700 million today, and still growing. For him, now was the time to work. A respectful person came in and addressed him as Taeson, asking how he was feeling. It was his lawyer, whom Taeson told not to be too formal, as he was just a high school student. This was their company's operational policy. Tae-san had hired a lawyer named Ju Jun-tae, a top 3 lawyer in South Korea from the firm Samu. Money seemed to solve everything. Tae-san advised him not to be too rigid. Jun-tae had been ousted from the organization for being too rigid. Previously, lawyer Ju was the deputy chief prosecutor at the district prosecution office. After retiring, he became a first-class public servant lawyer. Tae-san told him that he hadn't cut ties with the organization yet. Jun-tae was surprised that Tae-san knew about the organization, but Tae-san said he didn't know much. Outside, there was a loud shouting. "Why is a district prosecutor here? If he stops me from investigating, he'll be charged with obstructing a public officer, understand?" Lawyer Jun-tae was hidden by Tae-san, who then went outside, nodding in agreement. A policeman opened the door, accusing Tae-san, saying his end was near. The prosecutor from the anti-crime division had come to arrest him. The policeman accused Tae-san of pretending to be a victim. Throughout, he continuously accused Tae-san, with the prosecutor also involved. The policeman called the situation an interrogation, claiming they had been bribed by someone named John. Tae-san asked for the arrest warrant. The policeman shouted, dismissing the need for a warrant. Tae-san felt the man was doomed and asked him to show his inspector's badge. A colleague named Kim Thwong told the policeman to show his badge. The colleague didn't like reprimanding the seemingly knowledgeable kid. He challenged Tae-san, asking if he wanted to experience a real concussion. The policeman reluctantly showed his badge, revealing he was Prosecutor Kim Rong-suk. Tae-san realized this was a case of a corrupt public official. He again demanded the arrest warrant. The prosecutor asked if Tae-san knew what an arrest warrant was. Of course, Tae-san knew and was well prepared. He began quoting the Constitution of the Republic of Korea, which recognizes basic human rights. He stated that if a state agency wants to arrest, detain, search, or seize someone's property, they must have a court-issued warrant. This was outlined in Articles 12 and 16 of the Constitution. He read Articles 12 and 16, explaining that arrest warrants are of 2 types, one issued upon a prosecutor's request and the other, a mandate issued by a court if requested by the prosecution. According to the Criminal Procedure Code, search and temporary release warrants are issued upon a prosecutor's request, if needed. The prosecutor still didn't believe him. Tae-san continued, reading the Juvenile Court Procedure, which issues temporary detention, search warrants, verification orders, and similar orders. That was all he knew. He challenged them further, saying he could explain more. The men were shocked. Outside, doctors heard Tae-san was a victim. They commented that this room, being his hospital room, was also considered his residential space. The other guys also went crazy with love and yelled at the whole hospital, telling Tae-san to go to school. However, Tae-san was not concerned about remembering math formulas or English vocabulary, but rather about learning the law. Then, the prosecutor, who was indeed smart, knew they were pretending to interrogate to threaten Tae-san. Tae-san thought adding more drama would make it more interesting. Even though Tae-san was a high school student, these people came without a lawyer. The prosecutor should protect his beloved, shouldn't he? The prosecutor asked Tae-san why he was weak. He looked at the prosecutor like he was crazy. He told Tae-san to spout his stupid and empty legal jargon. He warned Tae-san not to have too much hope because he was protecting the poor. Tae-san realized that they were planning to forcibly take him away. The prosecutor ordered Inspector Kim to quickly get an emergency arrest warrant. He didn't want Tae-san to keep talking confidently. He would call the court, and the warrant would be issued quickly. Tae-san was surprised they dared to talk about the court. Another inspector warned Tae-san that he was in trouble, boasting in front of the prosecutor. Tae-san didn't expect them to use all their strong moves at once. He knew they were corrupt, but not to this extent. The inspectors asked Tae-san what he was saying. Tae-san repeated, asking since when inspectors, prosecutors, and judges became so corrupt. The prosecutor was about to hit Tae-san. Someone shouted to stop. A doctor entered and intervened. Tae-san admired the doctor's courage. The inspector told the doctor to get out of the way. The doctor warned them to leave, or he would call the police. The group told the doctor to mind his own business and leave quickly. They said Tae-san had been accused and was a flight risk. They had already requested an arrest warrant. Outside, Tae-san's lawyer heard everything. The doctor didn't care. He only warned that if anything happened to the patient, he would be responsible. He asked them to leave. Tae-san was moved by the doctor's actions. True to his profession. The group didn't know that all their conversations were being recorded. Tae-san started to act again. He pretended his body was in shock. The doctor immediately called the nurse to prepare for defibrillation. Tae-san's acting skills were impressive. The inspectors began to panic. Someone called for Prosecutor Kim. It turned out to be lawyer Jun-tae. He knew Jun-tae was the deputy general manager. He didn't understand why he was there. Jun-tae knocked him down with a hit. He fell to the ground. He accused the inspectors of being thugs. The other inspector tried to argue back. Jun-tae knocked him down too. Both the inspector and the prosecutor were lying on the ground. The doctor and the remaining person were scared. Jun-tae took out his phone and called their boss. He scolded the boss for not training his staff properly. He questioned the need to send a prosecutor for a high school student's case. Jun-tae threatened to kick the higher-ups' butt. At school, the school director suggested expelling Tae-san. Keeping a thug like him would harm the school's image. The homeroom teacher thought it was premature. What if Tae-san was innocent and got expelled? It was also the school chairman's wish. He could make decisions as the school's owner. He said Prosecutor An was arresting Tae-san, who was now in jail. The homeroom teacher didn't believe it. The vice principal said they couldn't do that. Disciplinary actions would be postponed until the truth was verified and the court made a decision regarding Tae-san. The director disagreed, worried about the school's reputation. The school would also be under scrutiny from the educational authorities. The director criticized the principal for lacking decisiveness and insisted that the school make an immediate decision. He then declared that as of that morning, Tae-san would be expelled. He also prohibited Tae-san from transferring to another school, stating it was his father's wish, the school chairman. While discussing this, a staff member entered. The director asked what was happening. The staff member whispered something to him, surprising him that this issue had been posted online. At the hospital, a nurse pushing a cart asked Tae-san how he was feeling that day. With the hospital's most beautiful nurses taking care of him, of course, he was doing well. One nurse complimented Tae-san on being flexible and joked that he must be quite a ladies' man. Tae-san flirted back, saying he would have dated her if she were 5 years younger. Tae-san was indeed a charmer, and the nurse was flattered. He even ordered pizza for the nurse to have for lunch, to which she remarked that Tae-san was very thoughtful. Tae-san was not just thoughtful but also wealthy. The nurse asked if that was true. Tae-san began to fantasize that the nurse would confess her feelings for him. She just patted his head, commenting on his wealth and how money seemed to be everything to him. She also reminded him to stop playing games and focus on resting, not forgetting to thank him for the pizza. Tae-san wanted to object, saying it wasn't a game, but the nurse didn't believe him. Nobody would guess that he was trading stocks on his computer, with a total transaction volume of 10 billion that day. Tae-san continued his operations. His profit had reached the maximum capital amount of 20 billion. Who would believe that a high school student could invest in the stock market like that? Tae-san looked out of the hospital window. The recent commotion meant that without the doctor's permission, no one could visit him, making the hospital an ideal hiding place for Tae-san. He gazed at the cityscape, thinking about the disciplinary council's turmoil. Videos of Tae-san being bullied had been uploaded online. Sung-hoon's words in the video were clear. All the teachers at the school watched it. The director was shocked by the existence of this video. The disciplinary committee members turned pale. The principal and vice principal couldn't sit still. Hearing Sung-hoon's father's name, the director started to feel nervous. The principal paid even closer attention. Sung-hoon even mentioned the director in the video. The director wondered how he would escape this situation. In the hospital room, both the lawyer and Tae-san were enjoying the video. The lawyer asked Tae-san how he wanted to proceed. Tae-san smiled benignly. "Let them die for me," he said. The director angrily slammed his hand on the table, drawing everyone's attention. They hoped he would provide an explanation as his phone rang. He answered the call. It was from his father, the chairman, who scolded him, calling him a disgrace. Even over the phone, the entire boardroom was afraid. The principal was furious. The chairman said he would come to the school right away. After hanging up, it seemed the director's fate was sealed. Online, netizens were buzzing more than ever. The president had to quickly announce an investigation into the case. Sung-hoon's father was surrounded by journalists. They asked if he was really putting pressure on the prosecutor and police. He had to publicly apologize for the trouble he caused and then resign from the city council due to public outrage. The prosecutor had to apologize to his boss. The managers and inspectors were all fired, and the district prosecutor's office was demoted. Everything was beautifully resolved thanks to the power of money. Indeed, the world is a wonderful place. On the bus, Tae-san encountered his crush again. Life should be worth living, Tae-san thought. He asked his crush to hand over her phone. It was the school beauty, Lee Ji-jing. She looked at Tae-san, who insisted on holding her phone for her. She refused, and everyone started paying attention to them, causing a scene. Tae-san told her that the bag looked heavy, and since he didn't have much to carry, he offered to hold it for convenience. Other female students started to notice, and Ji-jing thanked him. She let Tae-san hold her bag. As the bus continued moving, Ji-jing asked Tae-san if he was okay, noticing he had a pile of bags on his lap. Tae-san forced a smile and said he was fine. It's true that men of any age can act foolishly when faced with their first love. Crush turned to watch the young girls on the bus. Tae-san introduced himself as Jang Tae-san. She didn't hear him clearly, so he introduced himself again and then shyly looked out the window. She then remembered him. Tae-san put on his earphones and started listening to music. Ji-jing remembered Tae-san was the student from Jeondu School who she first saw on the bus last year. He looked very insecure back then, always slouching. He had changed a lot since last summer. As Ji-jing looked back on the bus, Tae-san's friends told him to hurry up as they were running late. Upon reaching school, a guy jumped up and kicked Tae-san, calling him an idiot for showing up right at exam time. Another guy said he would have stayed hidden in the hospital. Yet another jumped at Tae-san, joking that his hiding was over, and burst into tears. The whole group asked Tae-san if he had gotten the nurse's number yet, daring him to show his face. Tae-san had to beg for mercy. The class jumped in, teasing him, saying they'd only let him off because he was concussed. Tae-san was ragged by his friends. Normally, we think friendship and love are expressed through words. Someone asked Tae-san if he had studied for the exam. The teacher said there were 5 general education classes in the second year, and last time their class came last. The teacher jokingly warned them not to embarrass him this time. The teacher also asked Tae-san if he was feeling better, to which Tae-san enthusiastically replied that he was, thanks to the teacher. The teacher smiled. As the school term ended, he wished the whole class well. He advised them to seize this opportunity, or they might regret it later. Only the teacher and Tae-san understood the meaning of his words, as once we step into society, we are strictly filtered, from our educational background to other standards. Holding the exam paper in his hand, Tae-san was overjoyed. He couldn't stop smiling at how easy the exam was. Tae-san felt like he was living a different life compared to his past. On the bus home, Tae-san took out a chocolate bar, which he had been waiting for days to give to his crush. Ye-jin didn't understand. He used the excuse that she had university exams soon and that chocolate was good for short-term memory. The other girls said he liked Ye-jin, who was very pretty, and they were jealous. Ye-jin thanked him. Tae-san told her to feel comfortable talking to him, as she was his senior. He mentioned that he was only in his second year and wondered if anyone had ever flirted with her like that. Older students started to notice Tae-san. He asked her how her exam went. She asked him the same, and he said his went well. Ye-jin complimented him, saying he must be happy with his high scores. She was surprised he guessed correctly. Tae-san asked if she was the top student at Gwangju Girls' School, saying he was the same. The girls behind were surprised to see someone so beautiful and smart. Tae-san humbly said it was because the teachers made the exams too easy. Ye-jin was amazed to meet someone like him. Tae-san asked if she used a phone and asked for her number, offering to send her encouraging messages for her university exams. Ye-jin shyly gave him her number. Everyone was shocked as they exchanged numbers. Ye-jin got off at her stop. Tae-san waved goodbye through the bus window, thrilled to have his crush's number. At the back of the bus, a guy started calling out to Tae-san. Another, overweight guy, told him to come over. When Tae-san didn't react, he threatened him to come there. At the end of the bus were the tough guys from the Shurjum Wrestling Club. The biggest one among them called me down. His name was Choi Huk-chan. Tae-san had seen him in the newspapers before. Tae-san wasn't scared and stepped off the bus. Choi Huk was really big. He was sitting and blocking all the space at the back of the bus. Tae-san asked him, "What's the matter?" He bluntly replied. The others couldn't believe Tae-san was so bold. They cursed, "Are you crazy?" One of them encouraged Huk-chan, "Beat him up." Huk-chan just wanted my friend Jaren's phone number, saying she was his type. Tae-san laughed, "What do you mean your type?" Tae-san definitely didn't want to give her number to these loudmouths. Tae-san flatly refused. The gorilla-like guy then asked what Tae-san said, seemingly deaf like all of them. Huk-chan yelled, claiming Ye-jin was his. I thought he was barking too much. They didn't expect me to be so courageous. One of his followers attacked me. Tae-san noticed, grabbed his arm, threw him up lightly as if lifting something trivial, and then slammed him down on the bus floor. Huk-chan couldn't believe Tae-san did that. He was about to attack me. Tae-san warned him, "Don't get worked up. Tae-san just finished my midterm exams. Please let me be." Mocking them, Tae-san said, "With brains like yours, exams don't matter, but they are important to me." Tae-san then challenged them, "If you want to fight, pick a nice day for it." Tae-san also straightened my tie. Tae-san hoped the idiots understood why Tae-san had beaten up their friend. But Huk-chan was furious. He was about to break me in half. The driver, sensing the tension, braked suddenly. He cursed at the ruckus below. Looking in the rearview mirror, he saw me bending at a 90-degree angle. He asked, "What's happening?" Tae-san apologized for the disturbance. Huk-chan insulted me, but little did he know that my dream was to be a model citizen. Tae-san wanted to live a peaceful life, buy a building, make money, and build some villas. Occasionally, Tae-san felt like causing a few companies to go bankrupt. Anyone who dared to meddle in my dreams would be crushed. Another day at school began. The lunch supervisor wished everyone a good meal. The meager portions of kimchi and vegetable soup were unappetizing. My friends complained that even their dogs are better. The supervisor said eating more bean soup was healthy. Rumor had it that the supervisor, the director's lover, struggled to find these soybeans. Tae-san saw her buying cheap soybean sauce from trucks outside the market. Tae-san put down my spoon. She changed her tone when she saw me stand up, becoming more welcoming. She asked why Tae-san had so much left. Warning me that skipping meals could lead to divine punishment, Tae-san dumped the food into the trash, saying, "But I'm still alive, aren't I?" She advised me not to speak like that to a beautiful woman, calling it rude. Tae-san wished she'd face punishment while still alive. Tae-san glared back, thinking the director hadn't changed since our last encounter. She asked who Tae-san was. I went to the director's office. He was leisurely eating. Despite my arrival, he didn't stop. He asked how he could help me. Looking at his meal, Tae-san wondered how much school money he had spent. Pretending to be benevolent, he told me to speak up. Tae-san didn't beat around the bush. Tae-san said Tae-san wanted meat. He was surprised that Tae-san had come to him with such a request. He said if Tae-san wanted meat, Tae-san could just go out and buy it. But it wasn't just for me, it was for everyone. Tae-san brought up his lover, who was in charge of preparing the students' lunch. The director didn't expect you to bring up this matter. Tae-san said that over the past year, the school's lunch has been worse than dog food. Students pay $30,000 but don't get their money's worth at all. Tae-san compared it to other schools where students get to eat meat at least 3 days a week. But at this school, students only get soy sauce for their money. Tae-san thinks this is an embezzlement of students' meals. He wants the students at his school to have proper meals to have the energy to study. Tae-san wants the director to file a complaint with the police. After saying this, he asked permission to return to class. But the director didn't want to let him go yet. He thought that even if Tae-san was immature, he should still consider how he speaks to adults. Tae-san said he was just stating the truth. The director knew he was straightforward, but he didn't expect him to bring up his personal matters. Last time, Tae-san spent over $300 million to deal with the Hong Young-hoon incident. Working with a famous law firm is expensive, but they don't solve the problem completely. Now, hearing Tae-san's name in this school, the director has to suck up to him. Tae-san just wants him to resolve the school's lunch issue. If he can't, Tae-san might have to get rid of him. That night, in the VIP room of a bar, a subordinate filled a glass with wine and respectfully offered it to his boss. He asked how to deal with the troublesome Tae-san. The boss told him to do whatever he wants, but discreetly. He poured more wine for Hong Song-hoon, wondering why so many wanted to get involved in burying someone insignificant like Tae-san. Isn't it true that the more people want him dead, the higher the reward? Young-hoon told his subordinate to be careful, and he'd double the reward. It's not a problem for him. Since Tae-san exposed Young-hoon, he's been furious and swore to kill Tae-san. Everyone outside the barroom heard his curses. At school, the homeroom teacher hurriedly looked for Tae-san. He called him from the teacher's office to the classroom. Everyone was surprised to see the teacher so panicked. Tae-san didn't understand why the teacher was looking for him. The teacher couldn't believe what he had done. He showed Tae-san his midterm report card with full marks. He wanted to know how someone who usually ranked last in the class got perfect scores. The class thought they misheard when they found out Tae-san had the highest marks. His friends were all abuzz. One suspected cheating, another suggested the teacher make him retake the test. The teacher said Tae-san had to explain to everyone. Tae-san had no other choice, he had to face the consequences. The teacher and classmates all awaited his response. Surprisingly, Tae-san soon had to tell the truth. He said he would treat the class to pizza today. His classmates still didn't want to let him off the hook. He added another condition, Tae-san would also treat them to a session at the internet cafe. Seeing the offer of food, they quickly changed their attitude. They were as excited as monkeys for the free meal. Tae-san's close friends began to praise him extravagantly. One said, "Tae-san is very smart, teacher." Another commented, "Tae-san works hard at home, really a lot." Someone else exclaimed, "It's just a shock, that's why he's improved." They expressed their trust, saying, "See, you are my brother, so Tae-san fully trust you." They were cheering for him like he was a celebrity. It's true what they say about food being a motivator. The teacher, seeing them swayed by the food, didn't know what to say and let Tae-san off the hook. The school cafeteria changed drastically that lunchtime. There were 2 trays of food, including fried chicken. It deserved a perfect score. The lunch supervisor asked the students if they were satisfied, to improve for next time. Since the new supervisor took over, the market has been much calmer. The students even made banners to support her. She always cooks delicious food for them. Moreover, the market ladies also thanked her for buying lots of ingredients for the whole school. After school, the whole class rushed to the nearby pizza place. Each one loudly demanded a supersized pizza, the bigger the better. They didn't want to line up and insisted the owner serve them first. Seeing the students going for pizza, the owner asked if there was a special occasion. They said they were treated by the top students. The owner asked if it was Tae-san, surprised that she also knew about him. The owner mentioned her child also attends the school and credited Tae-san for its tranquility. She then inquired about Tae-san's whereabouts. The students pointed to him sitting outside, gazing at the sky. Tae-san politely nodded and greeted the owner when she looked at him. The girls at the table turned to look at him, admiring his good looks. The owner asked if he could afford to pay for the meal. Tae-san reassured her, saying he had just made a few billion and could even buy the place. Suddenly, someone greeted him from behind. A girl approached Tae-san, asking if he was the second-year student from the nearby boys' school and boldly asked for his phone number. She looked very cute, but Tae-san politely declined, mentioning he already had someone in mind. His friends were jealous that he got asked for his number. The girl said, "Just a prospect, right? So you're still single?" Seeing Tae-san's reaction, she insisted on getting his number. Tae-san was surprised by her persistence. He thought it unfair to the other person, even if it was unrequited love. The girl complimented him for being interesting. Tae-san wondered if she falls for every interesting guy she meets. She looked familiar, but he couldn't remember where he had seen her before. Tae-san noticed her name tag. Her name was Kim Seo-jun. Suddenly, he remembered. No way, he couldn't be mistaken. She was the top star, the idol representing South Korea, Kim Seo-jun, the future center of the group Ford, the most talented golf idol. His friends, envious, wanted to beat Tae-san, but he couldn't believe he was meeting the youth of the #1 idol. Seeing Tae-san paying attention to her, Seo-jun asked, "How much longer will you make me wait before you admit you've been staring at me this whole time?" This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Not everyone gets an idol asking for their number like Tae-san. But someone else called out Tae-san's nickname. Surprisingly, Jae-jin also came here to eat. Jae-jin stood there, not expecting to meet him like this. It seems Seo-jun also knows her. The way the girl addressed her might even be more familiar than he is. Tae-san was embarrassed to be caught by Jae-jin while getting a girl's phone number. Tae-san often sent messages to Jae-jin when not studying, mostly greetings and jokes. Although Jae-jin only read them without replying, it helped her relieve stress. However, meeting in person, she unconsciously called his name. Her friends asked, "Is he an acquaintance of yours?" They also praised Tae-san a lot. The guys, seeing Tae-san knew many girls, wondered what he ate during the summer to be so lucky. Someone in the class knew Jae-jin had the highest scores in her school. At their school, Tae-san had perfect scores. Indeed, like attracts like. Tae-san, don't be nervous in front of your crush, be natural. Tae-san, with a beaming smile, asked if she came for pizza. His friends insisted she treat them to pizza, just like Tae-san. Jae-jin was also compelled by everyone to treat them. Her two friends, Ung and Sarah, introduced themselves. Tae-san also did some PR in return. His friend Song, the smartest in school, commented, "I didn't expect Jae-jin to know such a handsome junior like you." She teased, asking if their relationship was just senior and junior. Seo-jun realized she meant senior Jae-jin. The girl emphasized that Tae-san's crush was senior Jae-jin, right? Jae-jin didn't expect Tae-san's interest in her was because of a secret crush, not just friendship. Tae-san, with a stern voice, told Seo-jun, "Keep it down. Why say that Tae-san like her in front of so many people here?" Jae-jin, not liking his overconfidence, called Seo-jun's name. The girl immediately took on the role of a cute junior. Jae-jin, feeling uncomfortable, asked Seo-jun, "Are you close with Tae-san?" Seo-jun replied that they just met today, which saved Tae-san, but then she dug a hole for him by saying he was exactly her type. Seo-jun complimented him for being handsome and smart. Tae-san didn't need her praise, it indirectly lowered his reputation with Jae-jin. His friends were pleased to hear a girl compliment him. After exchanging beautiful words, they looked at each other with loving eyes. Jae-jin said she also thought like Seo-jun, a confirmation that didn't make Tae-san happy but rather worried him. One guy had 2 boxes of milk, while another had none. Lucky Tae-san, pursued by 2 hot girls. Jae-jin asked Seo-jun what she thought, seeing Jae-jin with Tae-san, but Seo-jun found the person challenging her not ordinary. The girl approached the two of them. Tae-san also noticed her gaze. Now, the battle between the two women officially began. Seo-jun wanted a fair competition, not giving way just because Jae-jin was a senior. Of course, it would be fair, but wasn't Tae-san more interested in Jae-jin? Tae-san wondered if he was unlucky to leave the house with his left foot today. Seo-jun just came up with something else. The girl asked senior Jae-jin if he had his phone number, didn't she? How did the little girl know? Seo-jun wants Tae-san to give her his phone number too, to be fair. If you're playing fair, things must be done properly. Tae-san originally didn't want to give his number to the girl, but sister Jae-jin told him to just give it. Thus, Seo-jun's wish to get Tae-san's number was fulfilled. She didn't want to be seen as selfish, only keeping Tae-san to herself, so she told Tae-san to give the girl his number. In the legendary battle of women's honor, everything must be divided fairly. Crazy. Now Tae-san has the number of a famous star and doesn't face any criticism. Tae-san asked Jae-jin to give him the phone, and he entered his number for the girl in front of Jae-jin. Knowing it was forced and not Tae-san's voluntary action, Seo-jun wasn't very happy. Going back to his school days, being fought over by girls was something he enjoyed. After saving the number, his nosy friends also found it interesting. Now, Tae-san is caught between 2 women, one, his first love, and the other, a future superstar. The boys in his class didn't believe him and had no shame. Were they planning to woo both girls? The school's loudspeakers started broadcasting, spreading news of this fiery battle everywhere. In the school's multifunctional building, in the wrestling club's room, Huk-chan was on the phone, hearing some news. The coach asked why Huk-chan wasn't practicing and just standing there. The coach was dissatisfied, as he called but got no response. Approaching to see if something was wrong with Huk-chan for not listening, Huk-chan, infuriated, hugged the coach's waist, tripped him, grabbed him, and slammed him to the ground. It seems Huk-chan just heard something about Tae-san, which made him so angry. He even called out Tae-san's full name in his rage. This shopping trip, Tae-san bought a new car for his father. He also took his family to buy new clothes. Having a brother like him is always a joy. Now, his father's farm had more hired workers and an expanded garden, thanks to Tae-san. Tae-san also bought an apartment near the school for convenience. Now living in the city center, Tae-san could only work in the evenings due to school. He left home to live independently. He rarely attended school, only going when exams were near. Today, he made 7 billion. Tomorrow, this amount will increase to 9 billion. The stock market has been rising continuously. The market value is soaring every day. Now, Tae-san can't let his money sit idle. He hasn't yet touched the investments that will surge in the future because it would change the market he knows. Tae-san is waiting for the moment he is most looking forward to. Soon, in 2007, a market crisis will occur, and the markets will have to mortgage all their assets. Now, Tae-san goes to school to get the top rank and then goes straight home. The school is peaceful now, with no need for his intervention. He's going home to see how many questions he answered correctly. Since returning, school is no longer a hellish place for him. But like any student, Tae-san still doesn't want to go to school. Everyone is rushing home, then suddenly stops. Tae-san nearly bumps into the boy in front of him. Then Dong tells him to look at the school gate. Outside, a group of big guys sit like they own the world, blocking everyone's way. They are Huk-chan's gang. They're just a bunch of thugs, idlers from the vocational school across the street. So, Tae-san became their target. The bald guy, looking like an egg, called out Tae-san's name. Tae-san wondered if they knew each other to be calling him out like that. Of course they knew, following them was different. Whether they knew each other or not was obvious right there. With this gang, Tae-san had to communicate with fists. Tae-san told his friends to go ahead, but they wanted to hang around. After watching, they would get to eat pizza. Why not go? He thought they wouldn't dare see him in danger. But who knew? It was getting dark, and they dragged him into a deserted alley. The leader of the group reported to the boss that they had brought Tae-san. This gang wasn't short of big guys with big ears and faces, but where did this hentai-looking guy come from? Huk-chan sat impressively among his gang. Finally, Tae-san's day had come. Huk-chan already disliked Tae-san's face. Now with the chance, he told Tae-san he wouldn't survive leaving. Coming here was a wrong move. No escaping now. Tae-san saw these guys brought the whole gang for a small matter. Seeing Tae-san's courage, his friends even laughed along. This guy was a good joker. He kept teasing, a pig, but no problem. The tension between the two sides was like a tight string. But this warehouse was strange. Tae-san sensed a murderous aura all around. Since practicing martial arts, his body has become more sensitive. The smell of death engulfed him. He asked if they knew how many people had bled in this room. Now, it was time to share some life knowledge. Tae-san said it wasn't too late to turn back. He had lived long enough to know life was short. Why waste time on pointless things in this busy, treacherous life? The gang thought he was talking nonsense. They needed to straighten him out. Tae-san started lecturing about the law, educating them. But what can you tell a bunch of idiots? Tae-san threatened that if he was injured, the minimum punishment was 1 year in prison. Their parents would have to beg him. Plus the treatment costs, as Tae-san would only stay in a VIP room, would be expensive. Hearing this, the gang started to waver. It was good enough to teach this to Huk-chan. He took out a cigarette and smoked. Look, an athlete smoking. His head could grow in a forest. The guys behind snickered. Huk-chan crushed the cigarettes, saying he would deal with Tae-san. Let his followers handle it. Tae-san's friends, just standing there, got involved too. Tae-san jokes, they're going to take care of me soon. So scared. They told him to welcome it, to keep being arrogant. They weren't old enough for serious violations, so just crying would get the judge to forgive them. So now he said the law needed to be stricter. In South Korea, minors under 18 aren't sentenced for crimes. Hence, the number of victims is increasing. Just wait, Tae-san would make them cry real tears. Huk-chan ordered his gang to attack Tae-san. They raised pipes, preparing to execute Tae-san. This time, it wouldn't be like before. Getting beaten was certain, like watching a chicken burn. His friends didn't expect the gang to be so prepared this time. Tae-san pushed his friends back. If he didn't, he would fall and break his beak. The gang seized the opportunity and rushed in. His friends knew Tae-san was in trouble, but they could only stand outside and shout his name. The gang, energized like blood-injected roosters, jumped in with force. It was just bad luck. Forget about luck. Blood and teeth flew everywhere. Tae-san kicked the chin of the guy closest to him. His teeth flew out, not even having time to say goodbye to the jaw. Tae-san stepped on the guy, using him to jump up. It shocked him, they were using iron rods. He almost had to meet his ancestors. After fighting, Tae-san posed, like Bruce Lee with a watermelon belly. He told his group to jump in, finish the fight quickly, and then go home to eat. Tae-san flaunted his Tai Chi Chuan skills. The Huk-chan gang saw the iron rods but couldn't make Tae-san flinch. He ordered them to do whatever it takes. Beat Tae-san to death. But was he really the main character? The main character never gets beaten to a pulp. Tae-san jumped up, hitting them so they didn't look human anymore. He beat every face he could. Whoever jumped in got thrown out. From now on, Tae-san would be the main character on this land. After dealing with the annoying ones, he called out to the guys mocking from behind. Come on in. Oh God, his friends thought, he's tough. Tae-san urged them to hit harder. Why so weak as if you're starving? Looking at the guys lying at Tae-san's feet, they dared not get up. But provoked by him, they had to try to bring Tae-san's body back to Huk-chan. Tae-san loved beating up bullies. He said, come on, all in, let's eat. But there was no meal yet, only naked chickens for Tae-san to show off. When time was up, not a single follower was left, only Huk-chan. Huk-chan never imagined someone could withstand a gang attack and not get hit even once. The bodies of his followers piled up. Tae-san fought like in a movie. He told his friends to call 112 and 119, to report that they were being attacked by a gang, but actually, it was the gang that got beaten. Huk-chan, warned by Sung-hun's followers, knew if he failed, not only the organization but also his followers wouldn't respect him anymore. He pulled a knife from his jacket. Tae-san said what he was doing was self-defense, not caring about Huk-chan's threats. Huk-chan charged from behind, trying to stab Tae-san to assert his position in the organization. Tae-san's friends warned him to watch out for the attack from behind. But when it seemed Tae-san would be stabbed, it was Huk-chan who ended up screaming on the ground, holding his hand. He never expected Tae-san to counter him, something no one had ever done before. Then Tae-san declared, causing injury with intent to kill, organized violence, and serious actions, all this is enough for you to go to prison for years. A man's tears fell, the game over. Tae-san called Lawyer Du, saying he was attacked by a group with the intent to kill him. Huk-chan cried, begging Tae-san to spare him, as he didn't want to go to jail. Tae-san was not easy to deal with, strong and with money to hire a lawyer. Huk-chan's attack on him was like bad luck for 8 lifetimes. The TV reported about a group of students who gathered with the intent to kill an ordinary student. The above-mentioned group assault is an alarm bell for society about the problem of school violence. The issue is increasing, becoming uncontrollable. At home, Sung-hun's followers couldn't believe that if they couldn't handle Tae-san, they would now be investigated. The gang member didn't know what to do other than apologize to him. Furious, he threw the remote control at his follower's face. He said, the news has spread on television, social media, and all media. The organization will surely find out. Tae-san is in the hospital again, and the prosecutor has arrested some pretending to be students. Even the policeman he bribed couldn't be contacted. He decided to lay low for a while and retrain his followers. "If you guys make another mistake, you're doomed." The follower poured him another drink. Seeing the obedient follower, he kicked another cup. Outside in the garden, he asked how the drink was. Behind him was an empty garden, and it was raining. Moreover, there was no one out there, so who could he talk to? Suddenly, the power in the room was cut off. His follower pulled out a knife and demanded the person who just spoke to show themselves. A stone flew in, hitting the follower on the head. He lay there unconscious. Now, only he was left. A figure covered in clothes appeared from behind the curtain. He couldn't believe it, as there was clearly no one there before, but now this person appeared. Lightning brightened the sky, making the mysterious figure even more frightening. In the heavy rain outside, Yoonhoon's henchman asked who the stranger was. Tae-san declared himself as the god of death. He told Tae-san he wasn't scared of him. He was sure Tae-san knew him and that's why he came. Tae-san threatened that he would pay for his crimes. He said, "Confess quickly, or no one will help you." He didn't understand what Tae-san meant, wondering why he should confess. He grabbed a wine bottle next to him, intending to hit Tae-san, and introduced himself as Park Jae-chun. Tae-san punched him in the face, sending him flying across the floor like a kicked dog. He never expected Tae-san to correct his face with force. Seeing him still able to talk, Tae-san punched him again, one hit on the left, another on the right. Tae-san swung mercilessly, focusing on Dae-chun's face. He accused him, "You've killed too many people." Dae-chun denied it, claiming he hadn't killed anyone. Still lying on the brink of death. Tae-san was about to punch again when Dae-chun covered his face, insisting he was telling the truth, that he hadn't killed anyone. Dae-chun didn't expect Tae-san not to punch but to place his hand on his head. Tae-san asked if he could hear the screams in despair of those he had killed. Behind Tae-san appeared thousands of dead bodies, crying out in agony, rushing at him like they were starving. All were ready behind Tae-san. Dae-chun was grabbed by zombies, all brutally killed by him. The dead waited to drag him down to hell with them. Tae-san removed his hand, and the dead bodies disappeared from the room, leaving only him and Dae-chun kneeling. He asked if Dae-chun remembered who he had killed. Dae-chun thought it was a hallucination that Tae-san had drugged him. But fate had no intention of deceiving him. Tae-san said what Dae-chun saw were the souls of those he had murdered. Tae-san placed his hand on his head again. Dae-chun thought Tae-san was going to play another trick. He saw the dead bodies again, rushing at Dae-chun on the floor. One grabbed his head, another his legs, another his arms. They tore Dae-chun apart. He screamed in agony. This real feeling wasn't a drug effect. Tae-san asked if he had never experienced such pain. He wanted Dae-chun to feel the pain and despair of those he had killed. Dae-chun felt nothing. Tae-san felt that people like Dae-chun didn't deserve to live. However, death would be too easy for him. Dae-chun had to pay for his sins. He saw Tae-san reaching out to make him feel that. He begged Tae-san for mercy. Tae-san then asked how many people he had killed. Now, he truly believed Tae-san was the Grim Reaper. Only the Grim Reaper could be that powerful. He had seen it with his own eyes, so there was no mistake. Dae-chun shakily confessed to killing 9 people. But Tae-san corrected him to 10, including the first murder he had forgotten. He had forgotten about the high school girl in uniform he killed that year. The girl appeared, calling Dae-chun's name. He never expected to be discovered like that. It was a case he had covered up 30 years ago. He had raped and killed that high school girl. Tae-san threw him a phone, telling him to confess all his crimes if he wanted to be absolved. Dae-chun obediently agreed, like a dog. Tae-san also demanded he confess to assaulting Hong Young. Otherwise, his family would suffer similarly. Calling Tae-san a devil, he agreed to everything Tae-san demanded. Outside, it continued to rain. Everyone was discussing the case on the news. The police had found several bodies hanging over a dam, including the body of the high school girl killed 30 years ago. The culprit was Paid Chun, a gang leader. He came forward to confess, saying the recent events stemmed from Hong Jang-hook. Now, all the gangs were disbanded. Several corrupt prosecutors and police officers were fired. In bed, Tae-san was afraid, hiding under the blanket, only peeking out to check the outside situation. Despite everything going smoothly, he still saw ghosts hovering around. The evening news on TV was debating the case of 10 innocent citizens murdered by the gang. A participant argued that the case extended beyond the city limits. It was serious, and the government was handling it carelessly. Not only the police but also the prosecutors were corrupt. There was a need for a thorough investigation. Moreover, there were suspicions that opposition politicians were involved. They refused an investigation, claiming no involvement. Since dealing with Dae-chun, Tae-san had been haunted by ghosts. Tae-san screamed in the hospital. He thought everything should be over after resolving the matter. Could he have developed a new skill to see ghosts? But then, if that were the case, his ancestors who appeared were also ghosts, and they had helped him return to the past. Thinking about it gave him a headache. He just wanted to rest. Surprisingly, a ghost appeared under his blanket. Tae-san's screams startled the doctors. He couldn't understand why there were so many ghosts in the hospital. Looking through the door, he saw another shadow. Was it another spirit haunting him? When he opened the door, luckily, it was a person. It was Seo-jun, who had come to visit him. She was crying, asking if he knew how worried she was. She had thought she would never see him again. Tae-san wondered how she knew he was in the hospital and why she wasn't at school but at the hospital instead. The child said, "There's no point in studying now when we haven't even had the exam. Many just cram everything in one night anyway. Even if she studies a lot, she won't become a star." Seo-jun hugged Tae-san and asked, "Does it hurt a lot?" He was about to say he was fine, but then she reached up to touch his forehead. Tae-san felt her hand was very soft. Seo-jun touched his face all over, saying, "Luckily, you don't have a fever." But the atmosphere was getting romantic. Tae-san looked down and saw her chest pressing against him. He knew getting carried away now would lead to trouble. He pushed her away, but his body was betraying him. His sense of decency told him, "Just go for it, she likes you, so why hesitate?" Seo-jun also felt Tae-san's physical reaction. She closed her eyes, waiting for him to initiate a kiss. Clearly, he had feelings for Jae-jin, but now he was also attracted to Seo-jun. She was not only beautiful but also taking the initiative. Another figure appeared at the door. Kissing her in this atmosphere wouldn't be bad at all. Everything turned rosy. Tae-san decided to go for it. If anything happened, he would just call it an accident. But Jae-jin walked in, interrupting the mood, and asked, "What are you two doing?" Caught in the act, Tae-san quickly pushed Seo-jun aside. He made up an excuse that something had gotten into his eye, and Seo-jun was just helping to blow it out. Jae-jin thought she was visiting Tae-san because he was injured, but he seemed quite healthy. She was unnecessarily worrying. Tae-san felt awkward, caught in a compromising situation, and thanked Jae-jin for visiting. But the problem was that Jae-jin didn't like Seo-jun at all. Seo-jun politely greeted her, but inside, she found Jae-jin annoying. Jae-jin responded to the greeting, but she wasn't fond of the girl either. They were like entering a battlefield, where polite women only use words to attack each other. Tae-san tried to ease the tension. He said, "Please sit down, I'll get you some water." He thoughtfully knew what they liked to drink and prepared it for them. Seo-jun asked Jae-jin, "How come you seem so free for a university student?" Jean replied, Tae-san is injured. No matter how busy Tae-san is, Tae-san will visit him. They kept smiling and glowering at each other. Tae-san had to change the atmosphere. He asked Seo-jun if she had just signed a contract with an entertainment company in Seoul. She was excited and asked, How did you know? It seems you do care about me. He then turned to Jean and asked, Did you just finish your midterms? How were the results? Jean said, I did my best, but the thesis was difficult, so I'm a bit worried. Tae-san reassured her, You always do well in your studies, so Tae-san believe you'll get high scores. Jean felt happy that Tae-san was paying attention to her. He didn't forget to encourage her, You'll surely get into your first choice. Knowing he wanted to ease the tension, but seeing him pay attention to the other made them even more upset. They both told him, We're done with our drinks, and we don't feel like talking anymore. Tae-san wondered, what did Tae-san do wrong to make the atmosphere worse? He turned to food as a solution, as eating helps people relax. He suggested, Let's go for pizza. They didn't care much, saying, Anything is fine. Tae-san told them to wait outside while he changed clothes. But the thought of seeing Tae-san's muscular six-pack body made them lose their decorum. They told him, Go ahead and change, we won't mind. At the stock company, an employee asked the manager, Have you looked over the profit margins yet? The manager adjusted his glasses and replied, Yes, Tae-san have. The employees all thought Tae-san was a genius. They had seen the orders he placed, which were perfect, and the money used was completely legal. The manager advised them, We need to diligently regain our honor. They didn't quite understand what he meant. The manager said, Experienced stock traders like you are not even comparable to a high school student. They couldn't believe a high school student could be that skilled. They asked again, Is it really as you say? How can a high school student be so intelligent? Now, as winter began, snow started falling in South Korea. Tae-san's family stood on the balcony of their apartment to admire the first snow. It had been a long time since his father had relaxed like this. Tae-san noticed his father seemed nostalgic. His father told him, You will understand this when you serve in the military. Tae-san knew what he meant. Snow is just like white dung falling from the sky, isn't it? His father wondered, You are not old enough, how do you know about this? Realizing he had slipped up, Tae-san quickly changed the subject by talking about their house renovations. Our house is being rebuilt, Tae-san said. He bought the neighboring land to expand the area. Although it was being renovated, it still retained its classic charm. His father said, We can move in next month. His siblings asked, Does this mean we will live in an apartment when we attend high school? Of course, he replied. It's closer to the high school, and you can even walk. Maybe I'll buy each of you an apartment. Their mother came over and cut an apple into the shape of a bird for the family to eat. The kids asked, How did Mom manage to cut it like this? The apple was from Tae-san's father's farm. His father said, This batch is sweeter, the distributors will surely like them. Tae-san's father had become a genuine organic farmer. His mother had also regularly visited the farm to help with the recent apple season. Suddenly, his mother asked, Tae-san, you're still writing novels, aren't you? Right after she asked, he choked. He could only say, I just submitted 20 drafts. His siblings took the opportunity to flatter their brother, saying, Our brother is so talented. Ever since Tae-san became successful, their mother didn't have to worry about anything and looked much younger. Tae-san gave his sisters envelopes, each containing 200,000 won for their expenses. Having a brother like him is the best. Their parents also often asked Han about his finances. They thought he must work hard, while the family just enjoyed the benefits, but no one was greedy. His sisters were happy with just 200,000 won each. Everyone in the house remained the same, only Tae-san seemed to have become a different person. His stocks were now worth over 100 billion won. Because he earned so much profit, the stock company would list him as a suspect. It was also the company he would have worked for in the future. Tae-san wanted to talk to his mother. He planned to go abroad for a while to prepare for a bigger plan. His mother wondered, why does Tae-san suddenly want to go abroad? He said, I want to travel to gain more experiences for my writing career. But his mother was concerned, is it okay for you to go alone? He reassured her, I'm grown up now, not a kid anymore. When Tae-san's younger siblings heard that their older brother was going abroad, they were extremely excited. They wanted to go too and offered to carry his luggage as porters. Can we? They asked. Tae-san replied, you two are not experienced enough, stay home and study. His mother asked, have you made your passport yet? Tae-san said, I have prepared it already. His mother then asked, do you want me to come with you? He hadn't thought that his mother would want to go abroad with him.